Hello and welcome to this what to do when video. Today we are going to be looking at kettlebell swings and what to do when your client can't do them, and also when there's an excessive bend in the knees. So typically a kettlebell swing is a posterior chain exercise where we're loading that whole posterior chain and creating some explosive strength, where people would say we are targeting the glutes. However, you may have a client where it's not necessarily the case and they have a lot of bend in their knees. We're going to be exploring why they do that and what to do in that case. So ideal kettlebell technique is going to be just a slight bend in the knees like so. You're going to take yourself back, load, shift your body weight backwards onto your heel, load that posterior chain and throw the hips forward. So we're going like so, loading here and training that hip extension. And that obviously is a good exercise because we are teaching that posterior chain how to load into the glutes and then drive out. However, what can happen quite a lot is when you see clients, and as they do it, what they do is as they go back down, they bend the knees a lot and they come up like this, and they may start to see some rounding in the lower back. Now, the problem that we have is that because there's such a great amount of force as the pelvis is going forward, if somebody has a form of either anterior pelvic tilt, so they're holding themselves in that position, and their body weight is excessively further forward, as they go down into this position here like so, they're falling forwards quite a lot because they're used to being on their toes. They have this anterior pelvic tilt as a stabilization technique. So as they're flying forward and trying to decelerate it, they would actually fall forward and go like that. So what they are doing by bending the knees is helping them stay a lot more upright, and that's the usage of deceleration. So in other words, as this kettlebell is flying forward, they would want to go forward because they're used to getting onto their toes. So simply by bending the knees, they're bringing the kettlebell closer to them, which helps them balance a lot more by keeping the weight more central to, again, the center of mass. But the problem is as soon as someone sets to bend their knees and go into a squat, it's an indication that they're not loading the posterior chain and so therefore not doing the exercise for what it's designed to do. So this is a variation we're going to look at, not using a kettlebell, but something you could work somebody up to in order to make this a lot more effective. So when you notice that somebody does this with a kettlebell and the kettlebell swing, I would leave the exercise, bring them over to a bench or box, and what you're going to get them to do is put one foot forward and load into the heel. Then what you're going to get them to do is go into a hip hinge position, so they really load this front leg, this left leg here. So the key points here is you want the knee to be either above or behind the heel, but the hips and the pelvis needs to be behind the heel position. So as soon as they go like this, that's not what we want. We need them to be able to load into that hip. They're going to place their hands like this on a bench, and they're simply just going to hold and stretch and feel this load in that hip. Once they're going to do that there, we're then going to explore what it's like to take this foot off and just hold this position. So again, my hip is behind the heel, there's a slight bend in my knee, my weight is into that left hip so I can really feel here stretching and loading. I have support through here, and I'm simply just going to take my foot off into that position and hold like so. The reason for taking this foot off is that then we're going to really load this extensor chain on the left, hold that position like so. If you want to make it a little bit more challenging, bring the heel up here and just hold for anywhere between 30 to 60 seconds. What you can do then is go onto the other side. Again, just load that hip, feel that pelvis load, bring that up to the side there, and make sure that you have that very accurately targeting into the hips. You may find you get some people who get a little bit more hamstring. That's not a problem. What you just want to make sure is the whole posterior chain is loaded. The reason for doing this is, again, it's so they can actually accurately target the fibers you're looking at, so you get the response that the exercise is designed to do. Because if someone is just bending their knees and doing a kettlebell swing, all they're really doing is reinforcing pressure on the discs, which is not what we want to do. So you get much more benefit just getting them to squat with that knee flexion, rather actually putting so much force and acceleration through the lower back with a heavy implement which is moving quickly at the same time. So the important thing is understand why the client does the exercise, what you're trying to achieve with the exercise, and if you're not achieving it from it, find an alternative which is going to be a lot more accurate, because that's the whole purpose of what we're looking to do with the movement.